everybody. Welcome in. It is the high noon. It's the high noon rant. I am Pugs Moran. This is your daily exercise and observational detachment. That's what we do here. We look at things, we look at the world through a completely detached lens. We're not partisan here. This isn't the great divide. I don't give a crap how you view the world. I just think that we can all get together on a, noon weekday afternoon and make fun of a bunch of rich people stuck on a cruise ship with the shits. Yeah, that's one of the things we'll be talking about today. Bunch of rich people. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. That's going to make anybody laugh. Bunch of rich people on a cruise ship. They all got the shits. All right, we'll get to that. That's what this show's about. Hi, Pugs Moran here. We give you a nice little rundown of everything you need to know about today. We do it in 4 quarters. The first quarter, we start out a little segment we call Antecedently on This Day. That's a fancy way of saying this day in history. We give you all the things that happened on this day. All right, so we don't give you all the things that happened on this day. I cherry pick the ones that are interesting, and then I rant on them for a couple of minutes, and then we move on to quarter two. Quarter two is birthdays, people born on this day. Are they cool? Do we wish them a happy birthday? Quarter 3 comes next. Quarter 3 is the deads. I like the deads. The deads is where we look at people who have passed away on this day. Notable quotables, people who made an impression during their time on this big blue marble. And then we look at their life's resume and we simply ask ourselves this simple question. Are they in heaven or hell? That's what we do with the deads. That's quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3. That's the first 3 quarters of the show. Probably saying to yourself, my God, when are you going to talk about current events? Well, that's quarter 4. And don't be sad, because quarters 1, 2, and 3, they happen fairly quickly. We run through quarters 1, 2, and 3. Quarter 4, well, I will give you all the headlines, hot topics, current events, trends, whatever it is people are talking about as it pertains to this very moment in time. Time is a construct. Don't get me started on that. But if it's something that people are concerned and talking about today, I'll give you that in quarter 4. Okay, you got it? 4 quarters. This show, by the way, runs on your gratuities. You want to drop a little something? That's how the show runs. I'm going to leave up the whole PayPal, and actually PayPal's difficult. Somebody tipped me on PayPal last month. They were wonderful. They were nice. I don't know how to get that money. I don't know what to do. It's just like sitting there taunting me. I'm like, anyway, Venmo, Cash App, whatever it is. If you support this kind of talk radio, which doesn't have a whole lot of support, Talk radio, you have to be political. Talk radio, you have to think that one side is with the angels and God and the Bible, and the other is just lizard pedophiles from outer space. That's how you have to look at I resist that. I don't think that's true. I think that there's a whole bunch of us in the middle, and that's what we do here. So thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. It is a 2-hour at least, maybe not at least, sometimes just a little bit shorter. Sometimes longer, though. Sometimes we've gone 3 hours, we've gone 4 hours. We've done marathon shows when stuff's really popping. We just keep going. It is a stream of consciousness on my end. What is a stream of consciousness? A stream of consciousness is an uninterrupted flow of free thoughts in one human's mind, me. And what I do is I sort of govern those free thoughts by keeping them trained on the topics of today. But from time to time, just because I'm trying not to stop, I'm just doing a complete, continuous stream of consciousness rant. We do fall into some back alleys sometimes. Sometimes I'll make a right turn in my stream of consciousness and we'll end up in an alley. And I'll be like, how did we end up talking about toast? Right? But we'll do like a minute on toast. That's the fun of the show. I appreciate you joining me. So why not? Let's get started. Why not? Let's get started. Why not? Question mark. Let's get started. All right. Those are sort of 2 statements. I used them as one, but that's the kind of fun we have here. It's the High Noon Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. It is a daily exercise, as I said, in observational detachment. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to observe and we're going to detach ourselves. You guys hear that? Hold on. Be right back. have to play that back. Well, okay. That was a weird interruption to our stream of consciousness. Did you guys hear that? Of course you did, right? A couple of days ago, I got up to let the dog out and I took a pee in a room that's all the way on the other side of the structure, and you heard that. So I'm sure you heard that noise. God, that was loud. I had no, you don't need to call 911. Apparently you did hear it. Okay, you did. You heard it. Okay, very good. You know what it was? I thought it was the TV. I thought the TV fell off the wall. That was my first thought. I'm like, oh, great. I just started to do this rant. And now I got to do 2 hours when in the back of my head, I don't have a TV anymore. No, that's not what happened, though. I went outside. I didn't see anything outside. The dog didn't do anything. The dog is like laying there. She's like, did you hear that? I'm like, yeah, I heard that. And the dog, wasn't much help after that. Looked around, didn't see anything. Guess what it was? I discovered what it was. The shower curtain rod fell. That noise was the echoing of the shower curtain falling off the wall. I don't know. I guess I need new adhesive or something. The shower curtain rod fell off the wall, fell into the tub, rattled around, and caused all that noise. Mystery solved. All right, so let's get started. I apologize for that interruption. Let's go. Oh, you know what? I don't need the scroll down there anymore, although it is a nice message. The message being that we made it this month. So thank you very much to everybody who helped us make it this month, but we don't need that scroll going. I don't believe we do. We can make that a little bit smaller. There we go. All right. It is the high noon rant. It is the 9th day of the second month, February. We're pronouncing it February because it just seems like the right way to say it. February 9th, year of our Lord, 2024. February 9th is the 40th day. 40 of these, 40 days down. 40 days down. 325 left to go. That math was easy. 40 minus 65, 25, 325. All right, let's get started. Quarter one, as I told you about. Quarter one is a little something that we like to call around these parts antecedently on this day. It is a fancy way of saying this day in history. Let's get started. Antecedently on this day in 1775, during the American Revolutionary War, the British Parliament declares Massachusetts in toto rebellion. That was on this day. Got their attention. We threw all their tea in the water, and we did some other things. We brutalized the dudes on those shit. We don't talk about that. We talk about, the Boston Tea Party was so much fun. We took over a boat and we threw all their tea in the bay. We made one giant bay-sized cup of tea. And they don't really get into more details about how all the people on the boat, they were just working dudes. They all got tarred and feathered in the streets. Yeah, a bunch of them died. I mean, it wasn't, the Boston Tea Party wasn't what Schoolhouse Rock made it out to be. It was a little bit more graphic. Antecedently on this day in 1775, British Parliament declares Boston an open and total rebellion. On this day, antecedently in 1895, no, that was 1775, the American Revolution. I'm sorry. I'm distracted. I don't know if you heard, but I'm having parts of the structure I reside in fall apart around my very eyes. Antecedently on this day in 1895, William G. Morgan creates a game called Might and Net. Does that what it's pronounced? Mintonet. Mintonet. Maybe it was fancy. Mintonet. Anyway, William Morgan invented the game of Mintonet on this day in 1895. It was French, so we changed the name. We didn't like that. Now we call it volleyball. That's right, the birth of volleyball on this day, 1895, William Morgan. Antecedently on this day in 1950, the second Red Scare, U.S. Senator Joe McCarthy accuses the entire United States Department of State to be communists. McCarthy was a kook. McCarthy was a sad little man. McCarthy was oh man, did he have delusions of grandeur? Really, McCarthy wanted to be something more than he was, and nobody took him seriously because he didn't have any power. He didn't have any friends because he was a weirdo. And then he struck gold. He found a way to get the cameras trained on him. He found a way to get his name on all the headlines from coast to coast. He found a way to make the obscure little senator from Wisconsin, Joe McCarthy, a household name. He called everybody a communist. And of course, the media. Ooh, gossip. Who he's talking about. So, yeah, he was a monster. McCarthy was an absolute monster. His playbook is still in use, though, so don't get it twisted. I believe we've just changed now to either what do we call communist? Never mind. Don't want to go there. That's not what we do on this show. Antecedently on this day, let's do some happy stuff. Antecedently on this day in 1961, the Beatles performed for the very first time as the Beatles. That's right. They were the Silver Beatles. They were the Moon Dogs. They were Johnny and the Moondogs. There were a whole bunch of other things. And then on this day in 1961, they played a show at the Cavern Club. That was their home club. That's like their open mic place, the Cavern Club. And they called themselves for the very first time, the Beatles. On this day in 1964, the Beatles made their debut on the Ed Sullivan Show. Look at that. 3 years after officially changing their name to the Beatles, they appear on the Ed Sullivan Show, and crazy. The Beatles make their first appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show, performing before a record-setting audience of 73 million viewers across the United States. That's a lot. That was a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot, but in the United States only. So like that's a lot. I mean, I don't know if that would be. There was, first of all, there's no such thing as a global audience in 1964, but they wouldn't have even appealed to a global audience yet, because this was kind of the beginning of what historians would come to call Beatlemania. On this day in antecedently in 2021, the second impeachment trial of Donald Trump begins. Third time's a charm. Maybe we'll get a shot at that. Who knows? Let's do some birthdays. Bonum. They say it's their birthday. Birthdays. These are people that claim it's their birthday, but like I always have to point out, I'm not checking on this. This is just they claim it, so whatever. Born on this day, or so she claims, a true icon, one of the greats, an absolute angel who fell from heaven to give us delight, charm, and pathos. Ladies and gentlemen, Carole King was born on this day. Incredible songwriter. Like sneaky quietly, like, wow, she wrote that too. Carole King, man. She's got a cool story. Carole King has a very cool story. She started out as a Brill Building writer. The Brill Building in New York City back in the 1960s and 50s is where every pop song you've ever heard was written. The Brill Building was just filled with songwriters and different record publishers and all that kind of stuff, and they all worked on the different floors. Carole King, she and Jerry Coffin, who was at the time her boyfriend, would soon become her husband. They got a job there writing songs, man. And these two, they were kids. They were like 19-year-old kids. These kids started cranking out number one hit after number one hit after number one hit after number one hit after number one hit. Then they break up, and then she just starts writing songs for other people. Again, she's writing songs for other people. She's cranking out number one hit, number one hit, number one hit. She's important. Then she moved to L.A. She moved to L.A. and she was in New York. She moved to L.A. during the whole late 60s, early 70s kind of thing. She was a very successful songwriter. She moved into the hills where like all the, young, cool rock stars of the era were living, the Hollywood Hills scene. And she got talked into playing her own songs. She had always had stage fright. And she was like, I can't do it. So she was talked into by the likes of David Crosby and Graham Nash and Joni Mitchell and all these people. They were like, Carol, you got to sing your own songs. So she made a little album called Tapestry, and it became like the biggest album of all time. She was an icon. Tapestry, man, that's a great album. I don't know if you got to be Gen X to truly appreciate the majesty of that album, but man, if you just put Tapestry on, long car ride, not if you're trying to stay awake, but long car ride where you're trying to just be chill, great album. It's raining outside, it's cold, you're cleaning the house. It's a great album for that kind of thing. It's also a great album to sleep with. Sleep to. Sleep with. You probably do that too. All right. Happy birthday. She claims it's her birthday. She's one of the greats. Carole King, born on this day. Here's another one, 1942. She was born 1943. 1 year later, the world got another prince, Joe Pesci. God, I love Joe Pesci. Love Joe Pesci in Raging Bull. Love Joe Pesci in Goodfellas. Love Joe Pesci in My Cousin Vinny. Love Joe Pesci in The Irishman. Love Joe Pesci in everything Joe Pesci chooses to do, because Joe Pesci is awesome. What was the other one? The Slumlord, the Landlord. He did a bunch of stuff. Joe Pesci's a dude who I admire because Joe Pesci knows what his bag is. Joe Pesci was a struggling actor for years and years and years. In 1980, Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese, they decide they want him to play the little brother, the second biggest role in the film Raging Bull. Joe Pesci plays that role. Joe Pesci I think he got nominated for an Oscar. After Raging Bull, nothing for Joe Pesci for 10 years. And then Goodfellas comes around, and Martin Scorsese's like, dude, you're just like hacking around in small movies. You're not getting any respect. I'm going to give you another meaty role. So he gave him the role of Tommy in Goodfellas. And once again, we were reminded, Pesci throws down. And then that was it. Joe Pesci became a big star. He did a bunch of movies, some of them bad, some that he admits that he did for the money. And then you know what Joe Pesci said? Got my bag. I'm out of here. That's how you win, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you win. You can't win if you haven't established the finish line. If your entire life is more greed, they got this, I don't have that. Set up attainable goals. Reach them. Be Joe Pesci. Get your bag. Happy birthday to Joe Pesci. But stop grinding. Stop making yourself happy. Be happy with all that you've accomplished. Joe Pesci knew how to do that, retired from acting. Stopped acting, stopped doing everything, turning everything down. Joe Pesci gets a lot of offers. Martin Scorsese came to him a couple of years ago and said, you want to come out of retirement and do The Irishman? And he said, for you, no problem. Pesci. Born on this day in 1943, born on this day in 1945, one of the cornerstones in my argument that all actresses are horrible people. Oh my God, she is the quintessential weird, narcissistic, it's all about her. Empty vessel who is just ready to play any role that is presented to her in real life or in a film. It doesn't matter. Actresses are the worst. Ugh. I went to a college that was filled with nothing but actress wannabes. Trust me when I tell you, they're the worst. I'm not talking about famous people. I'm talking about anybody who wants to be an actress. It's my craft. It's Mia Farrow's birthday. I can't stand her. Oh my God, is she a nut? Mia Farrow. Born on this day in 1945. Born on this day in 1952. Here's one we can all love. If you played in a more modern time, you would call him a Hall of Famer at the bank. But I don't know that he's a Hall of Famer at the bank. He did play like 13 years in the NFL for your Dallas Cowboys. But did Danny White ever make money? It's Danny White's birthday. Danny White. I can tell you, as a fan of another team who was victimized by the Cowboys during the Staubach, Landry, Tex Schramm, Dorsett era, I can tell you, as a fan of another team, we were always very pleased when we saw Danny White out there because that meant maybe we had a shot. And Danny White was all right? He was okay. Happy birthday, Danny White, Dallas Cowboys legend at the laundry. He had the cleanest uniform. Actually not. Danny White played a bit. He played a bit. He was starter for a few years, right? Like, didn't he like wait patiently, and then finally Roger retired and Danny White became quarterback, and then they were like, we are terrible with this guy. We need Troy Aikman, and we need to trade everything. We need to do Herschel. We need to get in the Herschel Walker business. And then, they turned it around. But Born on this day in 1976. Happy birthday to someone who I am just such a huge fan of and a great admirer of as well. Charlie Day, American actor, producer, screenwriter, musical prodigy. Charlie Day, of course. Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Possibly, like if we were going to do a TV show idiot draft, like if we were to do a TV show idiot draft, Charlie Day, Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia might be number one off the board, right? He might. That's such a great character. He is such a moron. I mean, there's something, if you were to like just strip the funny out of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and just look at Charlie Day, there's something wrong with him, right? He's mentally retarded. There's something wrong with him. Anyway, he's amazing because that's a character he's playing. He is actually a really smart dude. You know how in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, usually there's about one episode every year where Charlie writes a song or Charlie performs in a musical or something like that. There's usually one episode. That's real. That's because Charlie Day is a music prodigy. Charlie Day can play like a million different instruments. He was like, from the time he was little, they're like, here's a piano, master it by 4, or you sleep in the garage. It was like that. His parents were like music people. So he's a really talented guy and a real serious guy who just happens to be hysterical playing an idiot. Happy birthday, Charlie Day. We love you. Born on this day in 1976. Born on this day in 1987, Michael B. Jordan. A guy who became an actor and they forced him to use his middle initial because he couldn't be an actor named Michael Jordan. We already had one, Space Jam. Born on this day in 1997. We'll finish out the birthdays here as we end quarter 2. Happy birthday to Saquon Barkley. Last running back in the NFL to get paid. Is he the last running back that isn't going to be treated as a Bic lighter? I mean, running backs, in my lifetime of watching football, running backs have gone from first pick in the draft or, the most important dude on the field to, I don't know, somewhere akin to the importance of a middle linebacker, maybe I don't know. Running backs, man, the value of running. You know why? Because we've realized, first of all, it's a passing league, so we don't run as much. But teams have realized that you could get a really good running back in the 5th or 6th round, or hell, even in free agency. You don't even have to draft them. You could just get a really great young 22-year-old running back and run them into the ground on their rookie contract. And then every year you just draft another one. So you don't need to be paying big, franchise dollars to a running back anymore. Saquon Barkley, though, he got paid. And I wonder if he's the last one. I mean, I suppose there might always be one outlier, one guy, but I don't know. If I'm a football player and I'm in high school and I'm a running back, I'm like, hey, coach, I think I'd like to be a tight end. I think maybe I'd like to try wide receiver, something like that, because those are money positions in the league these days. Saquon Barkley, born on this day in 1997. Let's move into quarter 3. Let's do the deads. I promised you that the first 3 quarters moved quickly, and I'm a man of my word. I mean, my creditors wouldn't agree, but, I would hope that y'all would. Let's see here. People who died on this day. This is where we open up their life's resume and decide whether or not, based on our understanding of what it takes to get into heaven or hell, where'd they go? Number 1 off the board, dead on this day in 1981, Bill Haley. Bill Haley in his Bill Haley in the comments. He was, get it? Haley's comments. He was a rock star. Rock star? Did we even have rock stars? He was a rock and roll music performer in the 1950s. And because white people made all the rules, he was for a long time. Like, it was accepted. He was the first rock and roll guy. He was the first guy to do rock and roll, even though his first hit had already been played on Negro radio by, colored bands, that whole thing. But he for years, man, up until like the 1980s, he was widely credited as being the first. We don't do that anymore because we're like, yeah, you came like 10 years after Little Richard. Why are we saying you came like after Fats Domino? You came after. But he was granted that. You know what else helped him? Happy Days. Because Happy Days used Bill Haley in the comments as their theme for the first 5 seasons. 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock, 5, 6, 7 o'clock. That also helped him. But Bill Haley, very forgettable. He didn't even die, interestingly. He made it all the way to 1981. He was a crazy alcoholic with a whole bunch of ex-wives, and he apparently punched a bunch of them. So he's going to hell. Bill Haley, stolen valor. You didn't invent rock and roll. You were just one of the guys. You were just one of the white dudes that was doing it. And they went, let's say he was first. They were afraid. They thought rock and roll was black music, so they tried to whitewash it. They saw that white kids were buying it, but they knew that white parents were going to be mad when their white kids are buying black records. So they just took a whole bunch of white dudes, took a bunch of black artists' music, and gave it to white dudes, and boom, we had Bill Haley and Pat Boone. And nobody knew who Little Richard was, or nobody knew who Chuck Berry was. Anyway, that's the world. Look, I said, this is observational detachment. I'm just pointing it out. I'm observing and I'm pointing it out. It's up to you to make a decision for your own self. Dead on this day in 2002, Princess Margaret, the Countess of Snowdon. Okay, this is a hard one. This is a hard one because we have some rules here. Royalty, they have to go to hell. They have to go to hell. There is no world that I want to exist in where someone who was born into the entitlement of monarchy, and then at the end of it all, they get to go to heaven. No, there's got to be a price to pay, right? You get to be a king on earth, you burn for hell forever in hell. That's the trade-off. But there's a complication here because I love The Crown, the Netflix series The Crown, and Princess Margaret is awesome. Like, I love Princess Margaret. Princess Margaret in The Crown is fun. She's cool. She's the cool one. She's the one who was allowed to be cool. Elizabeth was not allowed to be cool. Elizabeth was the queen. There were all of these crazy expectations on Elizabeth at all times. Meanwhile, her little sister, Margaret, is a party girl. She's partying with the Rolling Stones. She's going to clubs. She's hanging out with the Beatles. Not Elizabeth. She didn't get to do any of that. So, yeah, we're going to put Margaret in hell because I think we got to stay true to the idea that if you're a royalty on this plane of existence, then there must be some pendulum swing on the other plane of existence, if there is one. So we're putting her in hell. On this day in 2015, the world lost somebody who shaped a great portion of my childhood. So I'm preemptively putting him in heaven. I am not interested in turning over any rocks on this guy. I just want what this guy did and what this guy contributed to the world to just be a thing. Just be a thing that I appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, founder of NFL Films, Ed Sable, died on this day in 2015. I can't tell you how important, I can't tell you how important NFL Films was. When ESPN News, or was it ESPN Classic or something, they started running full hour blocks of like old NFL films. This was back in the 90s. I used to record them. I used to set my DVR. Not my DVR. God, it was a VHS back then. I would set my VHS to record the end, and I would watch them every night. Pop the tape in, learn a little something about Hank Stram, whatever. Didn't matter. It was fascinating. So Ed Sable, my love of football as a Gen Xer was greatly enhanced by your contribution in life. So thank you, Ed Sable. NFL Films. All right, that's going to do it. Those are the first three quarters. So now is the point in the show where we like to move into all the things that are happening today, the things people are talking about, the headlines, the hot topics, and the trends. Let me first get a drink. I'm enjoying a Coke Zero today. Of course, all of you know that's a lie. It's not Coke Zero. It's the Kroger brand generic Coke Zero product. It's delicious. I can't tell the difference. In fact, I was forced to buy an actual bottle of Coke Zero the other day because I didn't have anything, and I was at the convenience store, and I was like, well, this is convenient. So I had to buy the actual bottle of Coke Zero, and I drank that, and I was like, I think I prefer the Kroger brand generic Coke Zero. But that's me. That's the kind of fun things I'm into. All right, let's talk about the world as we know it. Let's get into the top stories today. Okay, first and foremost, what do we have here? Oh, my God. I hate the divisive politics, but we got to talk about this. So Biden went on TV yesterday. Biden went on TV last night. He was hopping mad, folks. I'm going to get it. He's all angry. Choosing my words carefully, as I did yesterday when talking about the president of the United States. And I think it's important to remind ourselves that this is the president of the United States. He is the president of the United States. So the special counsel, remember there's a very lesser known special counsel investigation into the way that Biden handled his documents. He had some documents, turned them over. He said, "You got any more?" He said, "Nope." He basically did everything, that he was asked to do. And that's the difference between him and Trump. Trump didn't do everything that he was asked to do, and that's why his is a much bigger thing, okay? That's it. That's the long and the short of it. It has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with, government officials knocked on the door and said, "Hey, former government official, I hear you've got some confidential government official stuff here that you were supposed to give back. Can we have it back?" And Biden's people said, "Yeah, sure, there it is. Look for yourself. Take it." They took it. And Trump's people said, "Go kick rocks, get a warrant." I mean, that's the only difference. So stop it. That's the difference. That's why one is being seen as a much bigger thing than the other. So anyway, so they wrapped up Biden's yesterday and they said, "Yeah, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong." But in the special counsel's report, he cut some strays, as the kids say. Biden caught a couple of strays. He caught the memory thing. The dude was like, "Look, he's a well-meaning elderly old man." The dude said that in the report. So there were those kinds of things. There were some questions about his memory and no real direct questions about his competency, but he was summed up as a well-meaning elderly man who sometimes has lapses in memory. That's how so that made Biden pissed. So Biden, against everybody else's advice, he decided, he's like, "I'm going on live TV. Dagnabbit." Which at 6:00, when I got the news alert last night that Biden was going on live TV in an unscheduled press event where he was going to take some questions, I just thought to myself, "Oh, Jesus, here we go. This is the president of the United States we're about to see come out there." So he came out and he was hopping mad and he had some energy. Maybe he did a key bump of coke or something. Before, I hear they have cocaine at the White House. By the way, that's nothing special to this White House. Stop kidding yourself. Please. Anyway, he came out, he had a little energy, and it starts out good. And I'm like, all right, he's hopping mad. He's answering the questions. That douchey guy from Fox asked him a question, and Biden got a pretty good zinger. Although the Biden apologists were like, "It was such a great zinger," at Peter Ducey Jr., or whoever the dude is. "It was such a great zinger." And I'm like, it wasn't that great of a zinger. As a matter of fact, he didn't even articulate it well. I mean, we got the point, but he didn't execute it well. If he was a stand-up comic, he'd be really pissed at the way he said that line up there. So he goes and he does all that and everything's fine. And then he basically just shits the bed. He couldn't help himself. He can't be in front of live cameras for more than 5 minutes without us all being reminded that grandpa is not allowed to know where his car keys are. That's just got to be the rule. Ridiculous. President Biden on Thursday night angrily disputed some of the findings in special counsel Robert Hur's report on his investigation into the president's handling of classified material from his time as vice president, taking particular issue with the report's comments about his memory. Speaking at the White House, Mr. Biden said he was pleased the special counsel's report concluded no charges were warranted and pointed to several passages in the report that explicitly said that the president did not willfully retain any classified documents. So that's the difference. Willful retention, accidental retention, whatever. I mean, look, some of you, it's not going to ever be that clear because space aliens and pedophiles aren't involved. I get it. But okay. So he gets up there and he starts talking. Now he's feeling himself. He's feeling pretty good. He's been up there a good 5-6 minutes. It was only about 10 minutes last night. He gets up there. He's feeling good. First 5-6 minutes are going pretty well. And I'm like, okay, he's pulling it off. Then he does this. I mean, it's just like he can't help himself. He's talking about, "I'm totally on the ball. I know everything that I need to know. I'm the president of the United States. My memory is great." And then he starts talking about, here, we'll play it for you. We'll play it for you because this is becoming an everyday damn thing. Wait a second. Do we have it? Thought we had it. What? Come on, for fuck's sake. Okay, never mind. We're not going to play it. But anyway, he gets up there and he starts talking about the president of Mexico. But he's calling the president of Mexico by the name of the leader of Hamas. And he did it like he didn't just do it once and then catch himself and then fix it. He did it like 3 or 4 times. And I'm sitting there watching this going, holy fuck. 5 or 6 minutes of this was fine if he'd just Costanza'd it. If he'd just gone, thank you, jerk store, I'm out, and he just left, he'd have been fine. But no, he started feeling himself. He started getting comfortable, and we were reminded once again that we have a president of the United States who is really too old for the job, man. And so is Trump. This isn't like, nah, well, Biden, obviously you got to vote for Trump. No, we're fucked. We got 2, and I don't know what to do. I got no answers. There ain't nobody on the landscape. Jesus, man. Yeah, Biden up there and again. I'm non-political. I don't look for things to just, completely blow out of proportion so that I could somehow convince myself that I'm right in thinking that Biden's an evil space alien lizard man. I look at that president and I go, you know what that guy is? That guy is a career politician. He seems like a pretty nice guy. Seems like a guy that if you met him at a banquet, he'd shake your hand, you'd laugh, he'd probably have a drink with you, he'd be a good dude. There's a million people like that I don't want to be president of the United States. He's a career politician. That's what he is. He's not a particularly evil man. He doesn't strike me as an evil man. He strikes me as a consistently duplicitous career politician. That's what he is. There are other people who do strike me as evil, who do strike me as just a bad guy. That's a bad guy. But Biden can't be president, man. Biden can't do this for another 4 years. There is no way. This is the second day in a row that I've had to play Biden clips where we're like, come on, man. This guy can't be in charge of important shit. He's calling the president of Mexico Sisi, for crying out loud. Ugh. Somebody else got to step up. I think that's what the Dems are going to do. I think they know this. I think that in the summer, they are going to roll out somebody, and he's going to be exciting, and there's going to be all this money behind it, and all of a sudden, we're going to have a horse race. I might even fall for it. I might be, yeah, who's this person now? Let's give them the keys to the world. Why not? It's what we need. We need someone with a blank slate. We need someone we know nothing about, because that's our best choice. Our best choice now is someone we know nothing about, to just roll the dice and hope that they're an angel and hope that they're a good, patriotic American. That's our best choice, because all the known quantities are all bullshit. You know who should be, never mind. I was just going to sing the praises of my neighbor who lives across the street. He's a rich guy. He's a rich old guy. I recently met him. He owns the house that I say my son calls the house. My son sees that house and he goes, I bet those people invented cotton, because it looks like an old plantation mansion. It's gorgeous. Anyway, he's cool. I met him the other day. Actually, I met him a while ago. We talked again the other day. He should be president. He's a cool old Texas man. He seems very, very modern. He was in the record business. I know this because I took a tour of his house on Zillow. I was always interested in the house across the street, and it was on Zillow. So I went and I took a tour. And his main foyer is just filled with gold records and so I'm like, oh, record business. So I asked him about it. He used to own a record company. He didn't say which one, or maybe he didn't. I'd never heard of it, but whatever. Good business. He had something. He's got something going on. He's living in the nicest house in this neighborhood, which is like one of the nicest neighborhoods in the world. And by the way, if you're just joining me, I'm flopping here. I can't afford to live here. I am flopping here. All right, so that's the story with Biden, my neighbor across the street. I'd like him to be president. He seemed like a cool old guy. He's like Biden's age, and he was totally cool. He was totally into it. Talked about the Super Bowl. He knows the Hunts. The Hunts, the people who own the Super Bowl, they're down the street. He knows the Hunts, and he doesn't like them. That's why I think he's cool. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to 49ers. I like that Purdy kid. And I'm like, yeah, okay, all right. And then he talks some shit on the Hunts who live down the block. And I thought that was funny. So now I want him to be president. Why not? Roll the dice. Roll the dice. Maybe we'll get a good dude or a good chick. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'll vote for either. Also in the news trending today, a lot of people are talking about Tucker Carlson and Putin. They sat down. They had a conversation. Why are we normalizing Putin? Putin is a bad guy. Again, you people, never mind. Anyway, if you want to see that, I'm sure it's out there. What is it, exclusive to X or something? But people are talking about it. Tucker Carlson, he went and he sat down and he basically, no, you know what? I don't have an opinion on it. I was just going to say that I'd read some accounts that said that he basically just laid down and got steamrolled by Vladimir Putin, who treated him like a wet rag doll. I didn't see it. I don't care to see it. I know who Putin is. I know who Putin is. I know who Putin is. I have studied him. I've learned a lot about him over the years. Putin is not our friend, you fucking idiots. You morons. Putin hates America. He despises us. It's in his blood. He was beaten as a child to become a KGB operative. That's what he was from his very earliest days. He blames the United States for the fall of the Soviet Union, and all he wants is to reclaim the glory of the Soviet Union. He wants to have that World War III where he vanquishes America. That's who this guy is. And you fucking idiots. Why? Because it's politically expedient for you to make fun of somebody on the other side that hates Putin. Why? Because Putin's a bad, bad man. It's a bad, bad man. Stop your defense of Putin. And by the way, me saying this doesn't mean that I'm like Mr. Zelensky. I don't know. Think about that guy. That guy's a TV comedian. Stop it. But here's what I do know. I know that Vladimir Putin is a bad guy. And some of you are like, no, he seems cool. Okay, you fucking idiot. Now I'm swearing. You know when I get worked up, I swear, and it's one of the benefits of the stream. It allows me to swear. Putin's a bad guy. Why are we mainstreaming him? Why are we normalizing him in this country? He's a bad guy. Moving on. Iceland's got a whole bunch of volcanoes going off. They've got another one. They've had volcanoes last month. Now they got volcanoes this month. Problem is, this particular lava field, they got lava fields. I told you yesterday about standing in the middle of a lava field, feeling like I was on the moon. So all of their electricity and all of their water and all that stuff are in pipes underneath the lava field. But now the lava field is filled with lava. So all the pipes are exploding and all the electricity is going out. So they got real problems there in Iceland. I love Iceland. You know I love Iceland. Iceland, have you ever been? You simply must go. Moving on. Here's a fun one. Do you like Wolf Blitzer? Who answers yes to that? You know what I mean? Like, who goes, Mrs. Blitzer? Maybe Wolf Blitzer the third might be like, I like Wolf Blitzer. He taught me how to ride a bicycle. You know, something like that, because it's his grandkid. Wolf Blitzer is he has been a constant irritant for me over the past 30 years. First of all, he's branding. He's all branding. He's CNN's non-offensive, serious brat. He's a dude who, because he sounds like he knows what he's talking about, and he wears a suit, and he very rarely moves, we all think that he must be giving us the truth. Well, he's not. Wolf Blitzer's an idiot. He's a dummy. He surrounds himself with people. Have you ever listened to a Wolf Blitzer interview? It is the most softball, non-confrontational. He holds no one to account. Wolf Blitzer is terrible. But last night, something happened to him on the air live. Want to see something? Watch this. This is funny. You're going to get kicked out of this. So Wolf Blitzer's doing his show. What does he do? The Situation Room? More like Situation Room. Am I right? So Wolf Blitzer is doing the Situation Room. And he's talking with Jamie Raskin, who is I don't know who he is. He's a dude. He's one of those dudes. He's a partisan dude. He's talking to a partisan dude. We're all partisan, everybody on TV. Not Wolf, though. Wolf's right down the middle. Seriously, I don't know what the hell Wolf is. And maybe that's good. Maybe he's like a guy from the 1970s who's on TV telling you the news. You have no idea how he voted because nobody cared back then. But last night during the Situation, Wolf Blitzer, it was on live TV during the interview with Jamie Raskin. And there's about a 10-second, 15-second ramp up where Wolf is on live TV and he's trying not to puke. It's freaking awesome. Okay, so let's watch Wolf Blitzer try not to puke, and then they cut away from him like someone they were panicking in the TV truck. They were panicking in the control room because Wolf was not looking good. So here's what you got to do: you got to watch Wolf, Yeah, see, like, at what point does he start to lose it? At what point is he about to vomit?
Look like a majority of the justices, the conservative justices, arrived at the oral arguments today with their minds completely made up. Of course,
Could we just say he doesn't look good? Like, he doesn't, like, he looks like he's kind of like he's got this, like, like when you're puking, you're about to puke and your mouth is getting all salty and it's just like a sprinkler system in there of salty water and you're like, okay, so that's where Wolf is now. Let's watch how this plays out. See if it gets anywhere.
they're using different hooks to hang their hats on. Some of them seem to think that the president is not covered by Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which the rest of them, I think, agree is ridiculous. The others...
Okay. All right. Something's happening here. All right. Wolf is starting to get full mouth. He's starting to go... He's about to punch out right here on TV.
Seem to be congregating...
He's struggling.
...around the argument that was offered by Trump's able lawyer, basically making the point that, Trump might be disqualified from holding office, but he's not disqualified from running for office.
And he just swallowed real hard. Like he just swallowed real hard. So it's happening.
If he were removed from the ballot in Colorado, as the Colorado Supreme Court found he should be, Congress might act in the meantime to exercise our
He's right here. This is it. Right now in the control room. Right now in the control room at CNN, they're going, what's wrong with Wolf? What's going on with Wolf? Wolf, can you hear me? Wolf, are you doing okay? Wolf, do you need us to cut away? Like, that's what's happening in the control room.
Thirds authority to remove the disability from Donald Trump. Now, that's obviously Congress, as the Colorado Supreme Court found he should be. Congress might act in the meantime to exercise our 2/3 authority to remove the disability from Donald Trump. Now, that's obviously...
Okay, so now they've cut away. So now something's going on with Wolf. They've told him in his ear that he's no longer on camera. They've cut his mic. And right now, something's going on. He's either dry heaving or whatever. So what does CNN do? They got Jamie Raskin out here just floating like a buoy in thunderous waters. He is... He's carrying the show because Wolf Blitzer's vomiting.
Extravagant hypothetical, because we know there's not a 2/3 majority in Congress to remove his insurrectionist disability. But nonetheless,
they got nobody to throw it back to. When he's done talking, they've got nobody in the anchor chair.
It's a fair legal point, and I do think the conservatives are congregating around it. If you do want to base this decision on hypotheticals, however, hypothetically...
I wonder if he knows he needs to fill. Because if there's one thing a politician can do, it's vamp. They can vamp for airtime.
The state legislature could still...
And they go to a hard commercial. They're like, screw this guy. We don't have any way. I don't know if he's going to be done talking anytime soon, but we've got no way to stop him. We've got no way to interrupt him. Let's just go to a Jake Tapper promo.
This decision on hypotheticals, however, hypothetically... the state legislature could still...
We're here to get your side of the story. Affairs.
All right, now they come back, and Wolf ain't there, but this chick is.
I'm Paula Reed in Washington. Wolf had to step away. He'll be back, but there's other news we're following here in the Situation Room.
All right, there you have it. Don't tell me watching CNN can't be fun. See an old man start to have a vomit attack there on TV. Wolf Blitzer. How about him? All right, what else do we have? The Kansas legislature. Here's the headline. Headlines. The headline. Ooh, man. If you're an idiot, and I'm part idiot. I have to full disclosure, I'm part idiot. Sometimes I just read the headline and then I go off and then I read the story and I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't have gone off. The headline here is shocking. The Kansas state legislature, elected officials in the state house there in Kansas. They did a little bit of business yesterday. They gave themselves 93% raises. 93%. Why? Because doubling their pay would have sounded bad. Because that would have sounded like they gave them 100% raised. Couldn't do that. So 93% raise. Somehow they think that sounds better. Now, when you read that headline, you're like, what? You got to be freaking kidding me. Kansas legislature here's something they're bipartisan on, giving themselves 93% raises. Then you read the story and you're like, okay, that's not as bad as the. See, the story in the headline is trying to gin us up. It's trying to make us angry at politicians so that we take to the streets with pitchforks and torches and burn everything. Kansas legislature votes to give themselves a 93% raise. That's the headline. That's the scream, because they know you ain't going to read it. So I actually read it. Guys, they were only making like 22 grand a year. With this raise, the average pay of the legislature dude in Kansas is like $54,000 a year. That's with a 93% raise. It's 54. I think that's reasonable. Okay. I think that's reasonable. I think that if you are a state senator in your state and you have to relocate, you have to move from whatever district you are in your state, and you have to be down there in your state capital, you got to rent a place to live. It's got to be a full-time job. It's got to be treated like a full-time job. And look, nobody's saying that these people should make six figures, but I think $50,000 a year is fair for someone who's a senator in the state house in Kansas. And I was shocked. You had to read the article. And, I don't defend politicians. I think they're all garbage. But when the headline puts out 93% raise, you're supposed to get angry because you assume that they were already making pretty good money. Well, they weren't. They were making really bad money. So a 93% raise isn't something that we should get all freaked out about. We should actually be decent about it and go, yeah, okay, if that is your full-time job and you had to run for this and it's an elected, you should at least make as much as a school teacher, right? You should at least make as much as, and by the way, school teachers should make more, in my opinion. Part of the problem we have with our education system is we've got terrible teachers. It needs to be harder to be a teacher, and it needs to be a more lucrative profession, I believe. But how do you do that? We got a lot of kids. People keep screwing. New kids need to be taught the ABCs. We need a lot of teachers. We can't be all that stringent. Teachers need to be paid more. Nurses need to be paid more, and firemen need to be paid more. There you go. Those are my big three right there. Teachers, nurses, and firemen. Let's take care of these people, okay? Cruise ship. I talked about this. Hey, there's a cruise ship, and it's a fancy person, rich people cruise ship. You know how there's like cruise ship? Okay, so if you're like me, anybody who goes on a cruise is rich. Now, I know some of you are like, what are you talking about? I work in a cubicle at an accounting firm. I'm not rich, but I am going on a cruise. Yeah, you've got the disposable income to be able to go somewhere on vacation, okay? There are a whole lot of us here in the world who, when we get our vacation, we stay home because we can't afford to go on vacation. So in the eyes of a lot of us, if you're going on a cruise to begin with, you're richer than we are. You got a little extra money to do something awful because cruising sounds like the worst. So you got your regular Carnival Disney cruises, right? That's where, rich people. That's for rich people, suburban people, people with two cars, maybe a summer home. I don't know. People, like I always say, I judged if you were rich or not when I was growing up by if when you went on vacation, did you drive to your vacation or did you get on a plane? If you got on a plane, you were one of the richer kids in the neighborhood. So cruising is, it's not a lower class thing. It's maybe not like a super high class thing, but it's an upper middle class. It's a middle class, upper middle class thing. It's a bourgeois sort of thing. But this was the Cunard line, a Cunard. The Lusitania, the Queen Mary, the Cunard line. It's like the fanciest. Like you got Carnival cruises and all of that stuff, and then you got the Cunard line. Now the Cunard line, this boat left San Francisco. You're taking a cruise that leaves from San Francisco. That's expensive. You're not leaving from Tampa or Jacksonville. One of those places. You're leaving from San Francisco. You're cruising under the Golden Gate Bridge. That's gonna be an expensive one. And you're going to Hawaii. That's right. It's a cruise from San Francisco to Hawaii with a whole bunch of rich people on the legendary Cunard line. This is one of the most elite ships. This is one of the most elite ocean liner ships. Boasts of a 3D luxury movie theater. That's one of the things that I saw on this ship. Why are you going on a cruise and you're going to sit in a movie theater? What is wrong with you? Stay home if you want to go to the movies. You're on a cruise. Anyway, these rich people were taking this cruise from San Francisco to Hawaii on this fancy-ass Cunard line ship. They all got the shits. There's a big breakout of the shits. Everybody... How much did you pay to have nonstop shits in the open water for a week. Gastrointestinal outbreak hits luxury cruise ship headed from San Francisco to Hawaii. By the way, this particular cruise is booked 5 years in advance. It only runs like a couple of times a year, and it's booked 5 years in advance. So these people waited 5 years to be trapped in the middle of the ocean with the shits and limited amounts of toilet paper. Nearly 160 people are suffering from vomiting and diarrhea aboard a luxury cruise ship that has since departed from San Francisco. It is still unclear what has caused the mysterious gastrointestinal outbreak. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 129 passengers and 25 crew members got sick. This is on the Queen Victoria, a vessel of the upscale Cunard Line. The Queen Victoria departed from San Francisco on Wednesday, February 7th, and is now headed towards Hawaii. Jackie Chase, a Cunard press representative, told the San Francisco Gate. So yeah, there's a bunch of people with the shits on a boat in the middle. Fancy rich people. Hey, use your mink stole as toilet paper, Grandma. Moving on. Spring break. Here's a story. Okay, so I don't think I have to worry about this for a couple of years. And honestly, the way my kid is now, I don't know if this is even gonna be a thing. Spring break. You got kids going off on spring break. For a lot of parents, it's the first time that their kids actually go off and do something, unmonitored. I had people my mom would have never let, and rightfully so. Like if my senior year of high school, if I'd have been like, Mom, I want to go to Florida with the boys for a week, she'd have been like, what about the way you've behaved these past 5 years make you think I'd be comfortable letting you just go to Florida? And that's all she would have said. I didn't even ask. That wasn't even an option. I wouldn't go on spring break, which wasn't a thing we did. Again, maybe this is a rich kid thing. This is not a working class thing. Working class, blue collar kids don't go on spring break. But a lot of them do. And I had a lot of classmates that were like, yeah, man, we're loading up the car. We're going to spring break. I'm like, that sounds like fun, but no way I'd be able to go. 17 years old. What parent is letting their 17-year-old get in a car and drive to Florida? I don't know. I don't get it. And kids today, my 14-year-old kid, he doesn't even go out on Friday and Saturday nights. And at 14, Friday and Saturday nights, man, that was like, woo, Johnny Nightclub. That was, let's go. Let's have some fun. Let's get in some fights. Let's hit on some women. Let's drink some booze that we're way not experienced enough to be drinking, but let's do it anyway. Now my kid, 14 years old, my kid's like, let's watch YouTube and play video games. I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, I like it. I'm not complaining, but kids today, I just think they're staying younger longer. It says it's good to be king here. Here's a story about spring break destinations, the ones that are the most dangerous. That's what I'm most interested in. It's good to be king. A new report has found that New Orleans is the top spring break destination of 2024 and the most dangerous. That's right. Spring break gids are going to New Orleans. That's a thing. Like, so they list a whole bunch of places here where kids are going for spring break. And I'm like, this was never on the menu in the 80s. In the 80s, it was, here's where you went. You went to Florida. You didn't even go to Padre. I think that started to become a thing. Kids where I come from, they went on spring break. They went to Daytona. They went to Fort Lauderdale. They went to Fort Myers. They went to Florida. Some went to Breckenridge and Aspen. I always thought that was more interesting. I'm like, I'd rather go to the mountains on spring break than the beach. I hate the beach. I don't look good in a bathing suit. I was a pudgy kid. I could rock a sweater by a fire. That's something I felt more comfortable in. But these places, New Orleans is the number one destination for spring breakers and the least safe. Okay. Number 2 is San Juan, Puerto Rico. Again, San Juan, Puerto Rico was not a destination when I was in high school. Nassau in the Bahamas. That one sounds okay. That's the third most dangerous and most popular. Nassau in the Bahamas. It was not a spring break destination, but I could see how it could be because it's in that area. Number 4. Well, who's going here? What are we? Oh, kids from this neighborhood. Kids in Highland Park, Texas, probably go to Maui for spring break. Maui is the 4th most dangerous spring break location. Number 5, Montego Bay, Jamaica. Yeah, Jamaica seems dangerous. Jamaica just seems dangerous. You're making me nervous. New Orleans, San Juan, Nassau, Maui, and Montego Bay, Jamaica are the 5 most dangerous places for spring break. New Orleans is also the most popular spring break location. Nassau in the Bahamas is the 3rd most popular spring break location and also the 3rd most dangerous location. So there you have it. Oh, is there a list of safe places? Safest. Oh, you want to know? Okay, so you want to feel good about your kids? Why not? I've just told you where you shouldn't let your kids go. They say they want to go on spring break. Now I'll give you the places where that are the safest. Okay, here we go. Let me see this list. Safest list. Okay, now they're not giving me the safest. These are the most dangerous. Here we go. Safest. Here are the safest places to go if you're sending your kid on spring break. Safest place, number 1. What? Really? Right out of the box? I would not expect this. This is a ruse. This isn't real. Puerto Vallarta, Mexico is the safest place you can send your kid on spring break this year. Not if your dad watches Fox News. If your dad watches Fox News, Mexico's the worst place you can send. But according to this, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico is the safest place to send your kid. Key West, Florida is number 2. Key West, Florida comes in number 2. Safest place to send your kid for spring break. San Diego, California comes in at number 3. San Diego's a place people are going? Okay. Hold on a second. For some reason, this is very strange. Sorry. My police scanner just went off. I had to check and see what was going on because the police scanner's going off and it's telling me that there's some big news happening. But right now, it doesn't appear to be anything specific. So, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico is the safest location for spring breakers. Key West, Florida is number 2. San Diego, California is number 3. Cabo San Lucas, Mexico is number 3. And Fort Lauderdale, Florida, an oldie but a goodie, comes in at number 5, safest place for your kids to go for spring break. Don't send your kid to New Orleans because it's dangerous. Send your kid to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, because apparently it's not as dangerous. I don't know, folks. You do your own research. I'm just telling you what the New York Post is writing. That's from the New York Post today. Spring break destinations for parents. Piers Morgan is in the news. Piers Morgan. Remember Piers Morgan? Piers Morgan was a dude. But how do we get to know Piers Morgan? Well, was he like the host of something like National Enquirer TV or something? I don't know. All of a sudden, he was a thing. He replaced Larry King on CNN. That's probably how he got most heavily mainstreamed. And then we were all like, this guy sucks. I don't like this guy. This guy is not likable. So they kicked him off CNN. And then he went back to England where he became a big star. He became like the Matt Lauer. Well, he already was a big star, I guess, in England. That's how he came here. And then he went and he did like a morning show in England, like a Matt Lauer type deal, you know, like a Good Morning America. It was Good Morning Britain or something. Not one that I watched, but I saw clips of him all the time. And, you know, again, he made people angry and he got in trouble a lot, but also broke a lot of big stories. And now he has left that. He is no longer there. He is jumping full into doing what everybody should be doing, honestly, especially if you've got a name that's bankable. He's doing his own thing. He is going to exclusively be on YouTube. So Piers Morgan joining the crew of all the other people who are now, I don't know, he's probably going to make a lot of money, probably going to make more money than he would working for the BBC or CNN. The British broadcaster Piers Morgan is giving up his live daily hour-long evening news show. No, it's evenings. I thought it was mornings. For a YouTube first, digitally native broadcast consisting of heated debates, sprawling interviews, and spicy monologues. Boy, that's what we need in journalism. More of, huh? You think this. You think he's wrong. Go. I'm so tired of that. I am so fudging tired of absolutism. I am absolutely right, and you are absolutely a lizard pedophile. I am so tired of those being the only two options. So good. Good for you, Piers Morgan, you divisive piece of garbage. I hate him. I shouldn't hate. You know, when I started this show 2.5 years ago, I remember one of the first things that I said was that I accidentally called somebody a name, and then I said I hated them. And then I thought to myself, okay, I should make this point. So 2.5 years ago, I remember sitting here saying, I'm not going to use the word hate anymore because I don't think hate truly. I'm back to using hate. I hate a lot of things. Piers Morgan, chief among them. Here's someone that I do not hate. Here's someone who I absolutely adore. I think this person is so great, and I root for this person, and I think they're so talented, and they just make me laugh, and I don't care that they are provocative. I don't care that people say, you're a bad person for even laughing at his jokes. I say, no, I'm not a bad person. I'm me. I fully understand who I am. I am self-aware. I know that just because you're sitting there saying I'm bad for liking this person doesn't mean I'm bad. It just means that you're terrible at judging people. That's all. That's all that means. So screw you. Shane Gillis is trending. I just made Adam Moreno's head explode because I'm certain, although I don't know, I'm just taking a leap that Adam thinks that Shane Gillis is a monster, MAGA, right-wing comedian kind of dude. He's not. He's just a regular dude. He's a dude in the middle who makes fun of it all, and that's why I applaud him. Here's why he's trending. Because those nitpicking little bitches who, I don't know, they just get off on destroying people's lives. They're back at it where Shane Gillis is concerned. Shane Gillis is a stand-up comedian. Why do we know his name? Well, we know his name for one reason and one reason only, because the world tried to cancel him and he lost the biggest break of a lifetime. And instead of just being a bitch about it, he doubled down and went hard and just kept doing what he's doing, and cream rises to the top. It's one of the funniest working stand-up comedians in comedy today. Shane Gillis. He's absolutely hysterical. He was cast in 2019 to be a member of Saturday Night Live. He was cast. They wanted him to be, come, hey kid, here's your big break. And they signed him to be a cast member on Saturday Night Live. Then, because he is a person of his age and he's done a whole lot of digital stuff and he's done a whole lot of digital stuff with other comedians where, comedians are constantly reaching. Comedians are constantly looking for the joke. They're trying to be funny. They're trying all kinds of things. And when you go through that kind of content, that kind of backlog of content with a fine-tooth comb, you might find a few instances where maybe he called a Japanese person a Jap, or maybe he said something, about a gay person or whatever. That's fine. Do you define him that way? Is that who he is based on one joke, one clumsy, ham-fisted dude that Now, wasn't just one. He's a regular guy comic. He talks like regular guys talk. Now, maybe you're trying to change the way regular guys talk. If that's your goal, I don't know, man. I kind of like the way regular guys talk. I kind of like the way people, I like when dumb people dissect the news and have dumb sort of commentary about it. And that's what comedians do. Nothing that he says or is supposed to be taken seriously. He's a comedian. He's trying to make you laugh. So they found all this bad stuff about Shane Gillis on Saturday Night Live, and it wasn't all that terrible stuff. It was, 2019, cancel culture was in full swing. So yeah, I guess I could see it. So Saturday Night Live. Oh, we had no idea that he was such an awful person, Shane Gillis. We had no idea. We cannot have him associated with this show. Saturday Night Live's got a whole bunch of really uptight people on it now. It's really still good. The comedy is good. Separate the art from the artist. The comedy is good. I don't have a problem with the content that Saturday Night Live's putting out, but the individuals and some of the things that they say when they feel they need to be heard drives me nuts. Okay, get that shit out of comedy. So Shane Gillis was not allowed to be on Saturday Night Live, and it was a big embarrassment for him. Headlines everywhere. Shane Gillis fired from Saturday Night Live 2 days after being hired because he's a racist from a podcast from 5 years ago. It was that whole thing. Poor kid's career. Imagine that. Imagine him. Just think in that moment. If you think that he's a really terrible, awful person who boils babies and, hates anybody that's not white like him, like that, if you think he's that guy, and he's not, but if you think he's that guy, then you probably were like, good, I'm glad he's having a bad day, because you got to imagine how horrible that was for him. He's just a comedian. He's just a young kid. He's a dude in his 20s. He's just making bad jokes with his friends on a podcast. He gets the break of a lifetime, and then because of cancel culture, then all of a sudden he can't be on Saturday Night Live, so now they took away all of the shit that he's been working for, and that's terrible. And now for like months after that, Shane Gillis is evil. His name, who nobody knew his name before, now his name was complete ass. Now his name was forever associated with whatever that certain people don't want to know about. Whether he's a far right comic. No, so I started to check him out because I thought during that time I heard what he supposedly said, and I'm like, this is what his career gets taken away from him for? Jesus, man. I get it. It doesn't make him a bad guy for saying some things that are probably regrettable. We all say things that are regrettable. So I got into him and I started watching his comic, and then I started listening to his interviews, and then I started seeing him, and I just thought, this is a wonderful dude. This is a really nice, his humor isn't even mean. His humor is more about what an idiot he is. You know, he grew up in a house with retarded kids, so his brothers are retarded. And so he does jokes about that, and people are totally offended by it until you hear the whole story and you're like, oh no, wait a second. This is all coming from a place of love. This is a real experience. People who have mentally disabled people in their lives can relate to this. And just mentioning it, it's a real thing that happens, doesn't mean you're punching down at retarded people. That's just one instance of some of the things that he's been criticized for. He's very funny. So here we are. What was it? 2019. He was hired and then fired from Saturday Night Live. And no, you can't be here. So here we are in 2024, 5 years later, and he's hosting Saturday Night Live. Good for him. Oh my God, I can't wait to hear his monologue. He's going to slay it. He should have been on. First of all, he's an incredible sketch comedy performer. When Saturday Night Live said, you can't be on our show, he just basically went online and started doing all these sketch comedy things on YouTube. That's one of the reasons that I came to know who he was, because he does funny shit. He's funny. He's going to crush it. So that's the big story about Saturday Night Live this week. Shane Gillis is coming back to host, the guy who was humiliated. They tried to kill his career. We don't want anything to do with this kind of comedy. Fast forward 5 years later. Hey, you want to host the show this week? I mean, it's good for him. This is a victory for him. This is a victory for anybody who is so freaking tired of people being butthurt and snowflakes and cancel culture and all of this stuff. If somebody is a bad person, then we collectively as a nation should turn our back on them. If that doesn't happen, and you think that somebody should have, been exiled, and it doesn't happen, tough. Get over it, you snowflake. I hate it. Somebody does something you don't like, you don't pay attention to that person. That's how it works. But no, just because you don't like it, nobody should like it. Well, he's saying bad things. According to who? According to you. I think he's a stand-up comedian. I think everything that he's saying has to be qualified with, now this is a joke. But no, we don't do that anymore. So Shane Gillis has come back, and now this week you can find it all over the place because some self-righteous do-gooders have now found all of the stuff that got him fired in the first place, and that stuff is going around. You know they're going to do a joke about it. You know they're going to do something about it on Saturday Night Live. Anyway, that's why Shane Gillis is trending. Because now all of the awful things that he said, that I don't think were awful at all. I think they're funny. I think he's funny. I think he's got an incredibly kindly sort of outlook. He doesn't punch down. That's the thing. He's punching down. No, he's not. Listen to the joke, stupid. I'm sorry that you're too stupid to understand the context in which he's trying to draw this humor from. But yeah, he's not punching down. Dave Chappelle also didn't attack all trans people. He does now. He does now because you pushed him into a corner. But the whole thing that started it, that was not something against all trans people. It was about one specific instance with a trans person that Dave Chappelle had. And he had an incident with a trans person who, by the way, he tells it, sounds like an asshole. Is your contention that trans people can't be assholes? Is that it? Because if that is your contention, you're a fool. Dave Chappelle's whole thing that got him in trouble was about someone being an asshole. That someone happened to have been trans. And because that thing occurred, he happened to be trans. Everybody went, how can the trans person be an asshole? Oh, I don't know. I know a dude in a wheelchair who I would punch in the face if I could get away with it. I know an asshole in a wheelchair. What, you think just because somebody's got something that makes them special, something that maybe puts them with a group of people who are otherwise, maligned. You think that if they've got that, man, I'm tired. I'm ranting. It's Friday. All right. I just like Shane Gillis, and I am tired of people trying to destroy people over something that they should just get over. Get over it. Now, I shall show you the other side of that. So like Kanye West and his anti-Semitic Jews do this, Jews do that. That's different. That is way different. He is specifically calling out a group of people with a viewpoint that he's putting his name Kanye next to, with a viewpoint that has been, considered Nazi friendly. That's a problem. That's a real problem. But Kanye West is also fucking crazy. He's a crazy person. So you see him doing that and you go, okay, he's crazy. Dave Chappelle's not crazy. Dave Chappelle knew what he was doing. It's you people who misinterpreted what his intention was. He was too smart for you. His comedy was too good. It was too layered. There was too much going on. You got distracted by the most provocative point in the story, and then you lost the whole thread. Same thing for Shane Gillis. Although I don't think Shane Gillis is as smart as Dave Chappelle. Shane Gillis is just funny. And he's hosting Saturday Night Live. And I can't wait. And I hope he takes a shot at Lorne Michaels, because Lorne Michaels is an old, foolish man who needs to leave that show. And don't get me started with, and then they should bring in Jimmy Fallon to be the new Lorne Michaels, or Tina Fey. Oh, shut up. How about bring in a 25-year-old? Remember like how Lorne Michaels was when Lorne Michaels took over the show. He was a 25-year-old. He was doing things 25-year-olds did. He was doing things comedically that was relevant to younger people. You're gonna give me Tina Fey? Tina Fey making Gen X jokes? Come on, man. I mean, that might be something I'll enjoy, but maybe that's what they need to do. Maybe that's what Saturday Night Live needs to do, because who the hell watches Saturday Night Live anymore? Isn't it just people who have been habitually accustomed to watching it every Saturday night? I tried to get my 14-year-old to watch it, but he only watches clips. And if I'm being honest, he only watches clips that I send him. So it's not like he's finding them. And all right, Brittany Mahomes is trending. Brittany Mahomes. All right, you want to be mean to Brittany Mahomes? I don't have any guilt being mean to Brittany Mahomes. You know why? Because she's a pretty blonde girl who married a rich quarterback, and now everybody thinks she's famous, and her best friend is Taylor Swift. I don't think that's punching down. I think Brittany Mahomes has probably a pretty good life going, and I think that she can take it. Brittany Mahomes is now, what is this? The cover of, is it the cover of Sports Illustrated? Is there even a Sports Illustrated? Wasn't the story a couple of weeks ago that Sports Illustrated went out of business, and now the big story today is Brittany Mahomes, Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. It says, see Brittany Mahomes sizzling Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. All right, so let's get a look at Brittany Mahomes. Let me be honest here. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be a middle-aged man who should be so lucky to have a woman that looks like Brittany Mahomes. I acknowledge this. She would never in a million years stoop to be with a Shrek-like monster such as myself, which is why I'm comfortable saying that Brittany Mahomes does not deserve to be a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. What is this BS? Brittany Mahomes is like, okay, so here's the picture, right? There she is. Well, we got to get rid of this. Brittany Mahomes is a small town 10, she's like, you could see her being the hottest girl in her small town, but she's like a Hollywood 6. She is not that beautiful. Like, she's really trying hard. She's got a good base. She's a blonde, I think. I don't know, but you can always fake the blonde. She's tall, thin, and blonde. There you go. That's a really good base. But she's not like beautiful. Look at her body. All right, her body's good. But tell me you haven't been to a bikini contest on Beltline that had a girl with a better body than her. It's a dime a dozen body. She does. I remember when the Sports Illustrated swimsuit girl was unattainable. She was from some exotic land like Australia, and you didn't think she was real, and then she appeared there on the picture like a mermaid emerging from the surf. Now it's Brittany Mahomes. First of all, Patrick can do better. All right, I just think he can do better. There she is. She looks good. Don't get me wrong. She looks good. But this is also after spending the day with the Sports Illustrated people, making sure that she looked the absolute best she can. Let's be honest. Sports Illustrated is struggling. They're out of business. They fired everybody. This is like their last-ditch attempt to get somebody to talk about them, their Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. That's the other problem Sports Illustrated had. Their only yearly thing that everybody got excited about, the swimsuit issue, became, not exactly a good thing in the Me Too movement. People are like, oh, you're just exploiting women. So they had to back off of that. And now here they are desperately, like 2 weeks after firing their entire staff, throwing Brittany Mahomes on the cover and calling her a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. Nope. All right, look, there she is right there. Can we talk about the girl on the right? Because the girl on the right didn't spend all day with the Sports Illustrated model team. The girl on the right is a pretty girl for Tyler, Texas, who met the football player and they fell in love and they got married. And now he's worth like $500 billion and she's there, his girlfriend, hanging out with Taylor Swift. Pretty good life for her. But I resist the idea that she is somehow worthy of being a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. Brittany Mahomes, nope. She's not even a model. She's just the wife of a quarterback. And Sports Illustrated is desperately trying to get somebody to talk about it. And guess what, Sports Illustrated? Congratulations, because I just did. I fell for it. NFL Honors was last night. We're talking about some Super Bowl stuff. It is Super Bowl week. Gotta be honest. I don't know what's going on here. This is Las Vegas, people. Where's the malarkey? Where's the hijinks? Where's the people being arrested? Where are the fights? Why am I not seeing any of this stuff? Super Bowl week. I mean, look, if it's Super Bowl week in Jacksonville, I think we're limited as to the kinds of trouble we're dealing with. If it's Super Bowl week in Jacksonville, that's, prostitutes. That's a streetwalker. That's somebody getting a DUI, something like that. This is the Super Bowl in Vegas. Do you know how many opportunities there are for high-profile individuals to be put in handcuffs this weekend? And we haven't seen any of that yet. We haven't seen any of it. It's Vegas, but it's the weekend, so let's see what happens. Typically, the big stories, they start to pop up on Wednesday, on Thursday of Super Bowl week. So-and-so got a DUI. The assistant general manager of the Broncos was caught in a bathhouse with a man, something like that. There's always a story. There's always something. Nothing. For none of that. None of the good, stupid Super Bowl week stories. Anyway, we still got a couple days. We got tonight. Something might happen tonight. It might be a big story tomorrow. And then maybe something will happen Saturday night. It'd be a big distraction Sunday. Who knows? Anyway, what was last night was the NFL Honors presentation. This is a new thing. This is the Oscars of football. They just invented this. This has never been a thing. Do you remember back when Bart Starr went up against Kenny Stabler for the 1974 NFL Honors? No, that never happened because this is not a historic thing. I think this is maybe 10 years old, NFL Honors, where every year, Super Bowl week, they decide to throw a big party and give trophies to people that already have a bunch of trophies. 2024 NFL Honors, who won the league's biggest awards? Okay, let's run through these. They get together, they put on tuxedos, they walk a red carpet, and they all give each other trophies. It's just like an awards show. MVP, NFL MVP for the football season of 2023 went to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson. Not Dak. Not Dak Prescott. Not Purdy. But let's go back to Dak. Cowboy fans are an amazing breed. I had a very serious conversation with my son like the day before the Cowboys lost in the playoffs. I had a very serious conversation with my son about Dak Prescott and how he believed that Dak Prescott was the MVP. Dak Prescott was the MVP going into that game. They lose the game. And my kid's like, I think we need to get rid of Dak. And I go, dude, you want to get rid of the MVP? You had him yesterday. He was the MVP. And now after one game, you think you need to get rid of Dak. So anyway, Lamar Jackson was the right choice. He's the MVP of the league. Let's see. What else do we have? The honors. Who else? Offensive Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey. Of course, that dude, man. Where did that guy come from? Another one, right? I was talking about our running backs, our Bick Lighters. Well, he's one of the outliers. You got your Saquon Barkley, you got your Derrick Henrys, you got your Christian McCaffrey. That's it. There ain't really. Is there anybody else I'm missing? Bijan Robinson, maybe, but we don't know what he hasn't developed yet. So who knows? Anyway, moving on. Offensive Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey, boy, I'll tell you. And how about those San Francisco 49ers going all in with big trades to win now? And seems like it's paid off for them. Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett. Saw this one coming from a mile away. God, did he have a year. Myles Garrett is such a badass. Cleveland Browns defensive end, Myles Garrett is your Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Rookie of the Year, no doubt in my mind, C.J. Stroud. I was C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young. I didn't understand why everybody was like Bryce Young. Now, I didn't see as much Alabama football with Bryce Young because I hate Alabama. And if Alabama's on, I'll be like, what else is on? And I did see an awful lot of Ohio State. So I did see a lot of C.J. Stroud. I just thought C.J. Stroud was better than Bryce Young last year. Nobody else, none of the experts did. All the experts were like, little tiny itty-bitty Bryce Young because of Saban in Alabama. We've got to. And thankfully, the Carolina Panthers gave my Chicago Bears a huge haul and then drafted who I think is going to be a clear bust, Bryce Young, number 1. Leaving, of course, C.J. Stroud to go to the Houston Texans. Houston took him. Houston saw what C.J. Stroud was, and now he's the Offensive Rookie of the Year. A lot of fun down there in Houston, man. I got to tell you. Hey, Jerry. I heard someone say something recently. I don't know who it is. I'd love to give him credit for it because it made me laugh. But somebody was like, Dallas Cowboys are America's team. And then somebody's response was, dude, they're not even Texas's team anymore. And that is true. They are not. Come on, man. You know how many people are excited about the Houston Texans? C.J. Stroud. Come on now. D'Amico Ryans. That's an exciting little thing they got down there. It's only going to get better. That would be awesome, though, to have like a real rivalry between, well, could they have a real AFC, NFC? Not really. Anyway. All right, never mind. Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to Will Anderson Jr. Will Anderson Jr. also of the Houston Texans. See what I mean? Houston Texans last year, they got C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. Holy crap, did they get a draft haul? And I'd say that I'm jealous of them, but I expect my team to get just as good a draft haul this year. Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud, Defensive Rookie of the Year and Offensive Rookie of the Year. Same team, same draft, 5 picks apart, something like that. Coach of the Year goes to Kevin Stefanski of your Cleveland Browns. Kevin Stefanski. I don't know. He's coach of the Cleveland Browns. You know, hey, congratulations, Cleveland Browns. You guys, you got Myles Garrett and you got the Coach of the Year. You did pretty well last night. Comeback Player of the Year, another Cleveland Brown. Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco wins Comeback Player of the Year. All right, there you have it. That's the NFL honors. Again, wasn't a thing back when Red Grange is the inaugural winner of the MVP. No, he wasn't. No, they didn't even have anything like that until like 5 years ago. And now we all just act like it's been around forever. But it's not. The NFL honors. Another story that came out of Super Bowl week here. I wanted to mention this to you. They're openly talking about expansion of the NFL, and why wouldn't they? The NFL is one of the most successful. It's not the most cha-chingy. It's not the most, but it's what was it? How was it worded? Soccer or World Cup soccer, FIFA or whatever, is like the biggest league in the world. But the NFL is like right there, and they are growing, and they want to be a global dominant sports entity. So we're talking about expansion. Always expand. If you're not expanding, you're shrinking. And if you're shrinking, you're dying. All right, so here are the top cities that they are talking about for expansion. These are very real conversations too, by the way. These are not just, oh, that would be nice. Number one, we've been waiting on this one for years. I don't think it's going to be called this city. They're saying they're giving it to this city. I think it will be the next to get a professional football team, at least here in these continental United States, but I don't think it's going to be in San Antonio. San Antonio is who they say is number one. I don't know that it'd be San Antonio. Do we have a name for that San Antonio-Austin corridor? Because it's going to be Austin. It's going to be a team for Austin and San Antonio in those suburbs in the middle. That is the fastest growing part of Texas. That is going to be one of the largest markets, media or otherwise, in the nation in the next 20 years. All of that space between Austin and San Antonio, all of that space is being filled in by suburbs and shopping malls and strip malls and, all schools, all of that kind of stuff. So I think that they are absolutely, it's Texas. It's, they're going to be fine with the team. So you can put another team in Texas. So, but it's going to be there. It's going to be like San Antonio, Austin. It might be an Austin team. It might be a San Antonio team. Anyway, I can't wait for that. I will be a fan of that team. I will root for that team from the ground floor. Let's see. Where else are they saying? London. They keep talking about London. The holdup to London getting an NFL team, as well as Germany getting an NFL team, is the Concorde. That's all. That's all. Stop talking about expanding the NFL across an ocean. Okay. Stop talking about it until we have a way to deliver these teams to those destinations in less than 8 hours. Okay, you can't put a team on a plane for 6 hours and have them play tomorrow. It's jet lag and all that kind of stuff. So we need Concorde. So we need. They need some kind of supersonic before we start talking about London getting an NFL team. Here's one that's more likely. This will be the first international team, I believe. This one they've been talking about for years and years. Toronto. Toronto was brought up yesterday as a home. Why not Toronto? Why not? Let's just, you know what? Can we just make Toronto part of America? Have you ever been to Toronto? It's America. You may as well. It's like a combination of Chicago and Seattle. That's what Toronto is. If you took Chicago and you took Seattle and you maxed them together, you'd get Toronto. It's an American city. They should absolutely have an NFL team. Let's see where else. Mexico City. They talk about that. I don't know. We'll see. Well, in Mexico City, really far. Isn't it really, isn't it farther than you think? Because when we talk about, we're just going to Mexico, we're talking about just going over the border, like the border that's like with California and Texas. Mexico's big, man. Mexico goes way down there. Like Mexico City is like far away. Mexico City, that's another one. Oklahoma City is another one to take very seriously. I think if it's not Texas or if it's not San Antonio and Austin, that emerging megaplex, if it's not that area that gets an NFL team, it very well could be Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is booming. Booming. Oh my God. I could totally see that. St. Louis. Why are they talking about St. Louis? St. Louis ain't getting another team. St. Louis ain't getting the team. All right, that's going to do it. Those are the tip places. A couple other American cities they mentioned were Sacramento and Salt Lake City, but they don't excite me. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Why is my son? That was my son. My son is reposting TikToks. I follow him on TikTok. I just got a notification that he posted something. It's 1:38. Maybe he's in lunch. I don't know. Okay, so we did the NFL expansion. Let's see here. Let's do our picks. Should we talk a little bit about the game? Why not? Kansas City versus the San Francisco 49ers. They ran a computer simulation. Let's tell you what the computer simulation said. Who wins Super Bowl? What is L? I don't. Is L 50? Is L 50? That's a 50, right? And L is 50. A V is 5. Okay, 55, 56, 57, 58. Is this Super Bowl 58? I don't even know. Is this does mine Roman numerals? Ugh. Let's see. So the annual Madden simulation has revealed a very close game. Super Bowl, we're going to call it 58. Super Bowl 58 is here, and aside from how many times Taylor Swift will appear on the screen, the only question remaining is who wins the big game on Sunday? Is it going to be the Kansas City Chiefs or the San Francisco 49ers? If you can't wait for the answer or just want to place your Super Bowl bets ahead of time, one of the most popular sports video games has you covered. According to a computer simulation, the Kansas City Chiefs will repeat as Super Bowl champions. That'll suck. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Brittany Mahomes happy. I don't look. Hey, honestly, can I be honest with you? I'll tell you straight out. Got no grudge with Patrick Mahomes. He seems fine. Seems like a good dude. He seems like a pretty good dude. He's a hell of a quarterback, and he seems like a pretty good dude. His wife is a bit much, but he seems like a pretty good dude. Travis Kelce seems like an awesome dude. He seems like an awesome dude. I don't hate him because he's dating Taylor Swift. I think a lot of you who had no opinion on him now hate him for some reason because he's dating like a really hot girl that you could never get. So that's fine. That says more about you hating him. But Travis Kelce seems like a really decent human being. Seems like a good person. He's nice. He's kind. He's not a jackhole. Now, I know that some of you want everyone to be a jackhole all the time. And when someone is just nice and smiley, you don't know how to take that. But that's what Travis Kelce is. So I like both of those guys. Want to see him lose. Want to see him lose without 1 ounce of regret about wishing this. They won last year. And they've already won. They don't need to win all the time. And the people of Kansas City, the fans of Kansas City, they do not deserve to have another team win the Super Bowl. They don't deserve it. They're not good fans. The fans of Kansas City, boy, I'll tell you, they'll give these Philadelphia Eagle fans a run for their money if we let them. We talked about this yesterday. Kansas City Chief fans, you got the guy who dressed like the wolf at all the games. He would wear like a Kansas City jersey, but he was dressed like a wolf. I know it didn't make sense, but he was ever present at all the games. That dude was a coast-to-coast interstate bank robber. That dude would go to games on Sunday. He would get on camera and he'd be like, look at me, I'm the wolf. And then on Monday, he'd drive to Tulsa and rob a credit union. That's who that guy was. Kansas City Chief fan. And you got the meth head crazy kids watching the Chiefs game and then they die in a backyard. What is that about? That is weird ass Kansas City Chief fan weirdos. And then what's the other one? There's something else. There's another Kansas. Oh, I do kind of feel bad for the kid. You know, the kid, the blackface kid. We talked about him yesterday. Remember the kid that Deadspin said was, look at this racist little kid with blackface, but then he didn't actually have blackface. He had half of his face black, half of his face red, as most of the Kansas City Chief face painters do. Has nothing to do with race. It has to do with the tradition of that being the face paint of the Kansas City Chiefs fan. Yeah, but Deadspin went, look at the racist kid, and like tried to ruin his life. Don't know if they actually did, but now Deadspin's being sued by 20 million. So that makes me think that maybe there's something for the Kansas City fan. There's another bad one. There's another bad Kansas City fan. Jackson Mahomes is a Kansas City fan. I'd like to see him upset. And by the way, this is nuts because I read something earlier today that I thought was funny. It was a story about how all of MAGA is so confused. All of MAGA is rooting for the 49ers because they've been ginned up for the past couple of weeks about Taylor Swift. So they're actually rooting for the people of the San Francisco Bay Area to be really happy and to have a Super Bowl champ. You're all so screwed up with your hatred. I'm rooting for San Francisco just simply because I like Shanahan. I'd like to see that system win a Super Bowl. Let them win a Super Bowl. I like Brock Purdy. I love the story of Brock Purdy. I love that all the experts said that he was and then it turns out that he's pretty good. Maybe it's a system thing. Who knows? I don't know. Who else do I like? I like Christian McCaffrey. I like that Brandon Ayuk. I like him. There's a lot of people on the team. I'm going for San Francisco. There you go. All right, so what's my final score going to be? And again, this is entirely just based on the fact that I want to see Kansas City lose because, you know what I mean? There's a little much with the people of Kansas City. The fact that Kansas City's got a World Series. Royals won a World Series a bunch of years ago. Kansas City got multiple Super Bowls. It's too much. It's too much for Kansas City. There are big dog cities out there who are starving for titles, and you little jerk squat towns, you're stealing all the glory from more deserving places like San Francisco. Pugs, what are you talking about? San Francisco's got plenty of titles. You know, that's where the Golden State Warriors are. Yeah, that's true. And the 49ers have won titles in the past. And the San Francisco Giants. All right, you know what? Screw you, San Francisco. San Francisco's just like a liberal Boston, right? Boston has too many titles. Boston has too many wins. And all the people of Boston, for years and years, they're like, oh, we can't win nothing over here. You know, they were really, I can't do a Boston accent if I'm not saying Harvard. Yeah, I can't. That's the only Boston accent I can do. But people in Boston for years, remember when they were all like, oh, the Red Sox, we ain't won nothing. I'm like, you had Larry Bird in the Celtics. The Bruins were good. Tom Brady in the 49. What the hell are you people talking about, your Red Sox? Stop it. And then the Red Sox won. And of course, in true Boston fashion, you can't just win one World Series. The Red Sox have to win like 4. I don't know. They were good for a while. And they're still good. So screw you, Boston. San Francisco is just simply a liberal Boston. Which is odd because Boston's very liberal. But you know what I mean? Boston is liberal racist. Like Boston is liberal but racist. That's not the case for San Francisco. They're liberal They're liberal and obnoxious. That's what they are. That's what San Francisco is, liberal and obnoxious. I'm out of stuff to talk about, folks. I don't know if you can tell, but this stream of consciousness is on fumes at this point. I've finished the prepared portion of the show. I've gone through all the things that I had to talk about, and I'm looking at the clock, and I got like 15 minutes, 14 minutes left. Hey, yeah, that's right. Witch Kitty. We got Witch Kitty, the fantastic band out there in San Francisco. That's my buddy Rob. He's out there in San Francisco. Yeah, but Rod, you're not a 49ers fan. I know what you are. You're a Bears fan. You're from Chicago. You don't really. So, although maybe you are. Maybe you are a 49ers fan. You probably wouldn't have pegged me for a Cowboys fan. And yet there I sit every Sunday afternoon watching Cowboy games like I've got some kind of a soul investment in it. I do now because of my kid. More in the chat room. Who else is in the chat room? Let's say hi to some people in the chat room. You know what my favorite thing about Taronda is? Taronda is always like the first person in the chat room, and then she doesn't say anything else. Taronda says hi, and then nothing else. I feel like I need to get to know Taronda. Frank Smith reminding me that a number of Chicago Bears went into the Hall of Fame. Yeah, they did. It was funny. The Chicago Bears put out a tweet yesterday, and it just said, "They're in," and it showed Devin Hester, Mongo McMichael, and Julius Peppers. And I'm like, stop it. Stop it with Julius Peppers. All right, we'll take it, but he ain't going into the Hall of Fame as a Bear. How does that work in the NFL? In baseball, when you go into the Hall of Fame, you get to choose because players get traded and free agency. Guys play for a whole bunch of different teams. When you go into the Hall of Fame, your bust has you wearing a hat, and you choose the hat you wear into the Hall of Fame. It's a baseball thing. Is that a football thing too? Or is it predetermined? I kind of think it should be predetermined. You know what I mean? Because what if Julius Peppers had the best time in his career with the Packers? He played with the Packers for like 1 year at the end of his career. What if Julius Peppers wants his bust in the Hall of Fame to be as a Packer, which would then give the Packers one more player from their organization in the Hall of Fame? What if he wanted that because he didn't like Carolina? Like maybe he's angry at the people who run Carolina. He's like, I don't want them to have me in the Hall of Fame as one of them. Well, but that's where you were great. Chicago Bears. They're in. Julius Peppers, what, he played for us 3 years? He was great. Don't get me wrong. We loved him when he was here, but I don't consider Julius Peppers Hall of Fame Julius Peppers. I don't consider him a Bear. I consider him a Carolina Panther. Mongo's in. That's great. Steve McMichael. What a lovely, fun individual he is going through that battle with ALS. And then Devin Hester. My son was very excited. My son loves Devin Hester. We were trading Devin Hester clips last night. My son and I. All right. What are you guys doing this weekend? What are you doing for the Super Bowl? Look at me asking questions like this is a two-way conversation. I don't know. Well, I suppose it could be. You could say in the chat room. I don't have any plans. Super Bowl Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday is like, it's a holiday. It's definitely an American holiday. You know what I think I might do? I think I might go to the Kroger at like maybe halftime. Like just go to the Kroger at halftime and then just buy, oh my God. Do you know how you're going to be able to get like a giant like shrimp platter at Kroger at like 5:30 p.m. Sunday night at Kroger? You're gonna be able to get like 20 pounds of shrimp for like $4. Everything's gonna be, because they're gonna make all of this shit for Super Bowl parties and they're not gonna sell it and they can't repackage it. So everything Sunday night at Kroger, Tom Thumb, wherever you go, it's gonna be discounted. So be ready. Be ready. I am. I'm gonna be eating 7-layer dip for a week. I'm gonna be like, yeah, this stuff's pretty good. That's how I live my life. I live my life looking for deals. And that's certainly something that day after, I'm already day after Halloween and day after Valentine's Day. Great day to buy candy. That's right. Great day to go to Walgreens and get candy. Go to that $1 aisle at Walgreens and get yourself a big bag of Snickers for $1 because they bought too many. So nobody told them that people don't exchange Snickers bars for Valentine's Day. And now they've got like, an entire gross of them. Adam says, you can come to my Super Bowl party. I would do that. I would go to Adam's Super Bowl party. He said, but everybody is a Chiefs fan, basically. That's fine. I can get along with everybody. I have no emotional investment in either of these teams. I just don't like the idea that the Chiefs are going to win again. I think some fan base who didn't get to win last year should get to win again. I don't like teams that repeat unless, of course, they're my team. Then all bets are off. then it's different. But at least I can admit that I know that I'm being a hypocrite there. Classic Pugs, says Peter. Peter, classic Pugs shrimp platter. Yeah, it's gonna be seafood. I said that specifically. There's gonna be a lot of really good seafood that's gonna be on deep discount about 6:00 Sunday night at Kroger. Get down there, get your deep discount shrimp, because that shit goes bad. You got to eat that. Eat it in the parking lot. Walking out the door, eating the shrimp platter. It'll be fine. You'll be fine. Jeff says Dollar General a week after Halloween. Candy is usually 50% off already. The 25% off. Yeah. That day after Halloween. I don't like to go to the dollar stores the day after Halloween, because you can go to the dollar store any day and you can get sometimes it's Bizarro candy. What is Bizarro candy? Well, I bought this bag of chocolate bars for $1.25. There was 20 chocolate bars, and the chocolate bars looked like Hershey bars. But I got them out, and they weren't Hershey bars. They were Herschel bars or something like that. But they were obviously some knockoff Hershey bar that was supposed to look like Hershey bars. And I flipped it over to see where they were from, and they were from Egypt. And I thought that was weird. I'm like, this is weird Hershey knockoff Egyptian chocolate. I mean, I ate it. Chocolate is chocolate. I mean, even the worst, it's like ice cream, right? Even the worst ice cream is still ice cream. Still ice cream. Okay, so you prefer Rocky Road, but what you're eating is still ice cream. Still pretty good. It's not raw vegetables. So the Herschel bars, yeah, they were for $1.25. Anyway, the day after Halloween, that you got to go to the name brand stores, because that's where the name brand stores are up against it. They'll have the name brand products on the deep discount, but only for a day. And you got to stay frosty, man. There's a whole bunch of old ladies out there in this world. I'm telling you these tricks. There are a whole bunch of old ladies in this world who know these tricks. Oh, and they've got it on a timer. So they'll be there to get all that candy. They'll be there to get all the Kit Kats and Three Musketeers bags and all that stuff that are on sale for $1 at the Walgreens the day after Halloween. You got to be frosty. You got to get there first. You can always get candy corn. You'll have candy corn. Candy corn, there's always going to be a big pile of candy corn. That's why I like candy corn, I think, because it was always available. I'd always buy it and eat it. I'm totally out of stuff to talk about. We've got almost nobody. China bars. What? Oh, no, they were Egyptian bars. I also have some strawberry jam that I purchased at a Dollar Tree, and I purchased it because it was $1, and I like jelly, and I like different flavors of jelly. I like to have I never know what kind of peanut butter and jelly sandwich I'm gonna have. So when I open up the fridge, I like to have maybe strawberry, maybe cherry, maybe peach, maybe boysenberry. I've got a nice assortment of jellies. I am a peanut butter and jelly aficionado. I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So I picked up this thing of jelly. It was strawberry. It was like a strawberry jam from the Dollar Tree. And it had cool packaging. That's it. I bought it for the packaging. I was like, oh, that looks interesting. That doesn't look dollar store cheap. I always look. I do this with everything at the dollar store. I flipped it over. I looked on the back. It said it was made in Vietnam. And I'm like, what? Strawberry jelly from Vietnam? I'm going to put that back. And I moved on. I don't know. It was just the origin of it. I thought they don't have that in Vietnam. They can't possibly know how to make this in Vietnam. This is going to taste weird. So I'm just going to put it back. The reputation of Vietnam as a as a jelly manufacturer is so bad that I wasn't even willing to part with $1 in order to see if it's any good. Yeah, I know. Gary says, Pug's bragging about his various jellies. I got a lot of jellies. I can show you my jelly collection. My jelly collection is about, I think, three strong right now. I got grape, strawberry, and cherry. By the way, cherry is my favorite jelly. Like, if I had a go-to jelly, like, you want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? I think everybody would get peanut butter and grape jelly. I think grape is most people's go-to. Now me, my go-to is cherry. Cherry preserves. Oh my God, they're so tart and sweet at the same time. Oh, I love cherry preserves. Cherry preserves and peanut butter. That's my sandwich. I got no hate for grape. Grape is fantastic. Jelly in general is fantastic. I think we've established that I am a jelly aficionado. And I do make a distinction between jellies, jams, and preserves. Hell, I've even got something in there called, wait, there's something really fancy. What's the fancy rich people? Rich people have a fancy name for something. Like chunk, begins with a CH. Guys, what is it? Come on, there's some fancy people in the chat room. Begins with a CH. It's not jelly. It's not jam. I don't know. I got like some kind of like, it's like a boysenberry, and it begins with a CH. I think it's jelly. Frank Berlin says there's no cherry jelly at his Kroger. And I can tell you that Frank, I'm sorry, what is it? Frank, I got the name wrong. Chutney. That's what it is. Frank helping me out again. I got a thing of chutney in there. I don't even know what chutney is. It's like jelly. Frank also points out that there is no cherry jelly at his Kroger. Frank, there's no cherry jelly at my Kroger either. Kroger does not carry cherry jelly, and it drives me nuts. I got to go to Tom Thumb to get my cherry jelly. Whenever I go to Tom Thumb for two things. Two things I go to Tom Thumb for. Tom Thumb has an incredible buy one, get two free on chicken. So I go there and I buy that every week. Every week I buy one thing of chicken and I get two more packages of chicken for free. It's like $10 for the one thing. It's a ridiculous bargain. I cannot help myself. I love chicken. That's a great deal. Once a week I go there and I buy the chicken. Sometimes they have pork. Sometimes it's pork 2 for $1, but I like the chicken. And when I go to buy the chicken, I also pick up, not every time, but sometimes I have to get my cherry jelly. Also, it's a Tom Thumb brand. So what is that, like Signature? Isn't that what their brand is called? Signature brand. Tom Thumb Signature brand cherry preserves. Delicious. Can't get it at Kroger. Can't get it. You know what else you can't get? You guys, okay, maybe you can help me with this. Frank's like, WTF, cherry jelly? You can't just be hearing of cherry jelly for the first time. Cherry jelly's delicious. What do you think is inside cherry pie? It's basically the same stuff. Cherry pie filling is basically cherry jelly. Just think of it like that. It's delicious. Peanut butter. Ooh. Wonder bread with the edges cut off. Yeah, it's got to be Wonder bread. It's got to be like nuclear bread. It's got to be bread that's really bad for you, but is delicious. You know what I can't find at the store? This is something that I had in the Midwest growing up, and I can't find it in the store here, and I want to get it. And no stores down here have it. My son, it's one of my son's favorite meals. My mother makes for my son this chicken Kiev thing. It's like just a frozen little chicken breast that's stuffed with stuff, and you serve it on a bed of rice with some sauce on it. My kid loves it. They're these frozen little chicken Kievs. I've been to a dozen stores. They don't have them in Texas. It's not a thing. It's not a thing that exists here in Texas. Up in Chicago, they got them like a whole freezer section full. When you pull them, you make them, you cook them. Everybody loves them. They're delicious. Why can't I find these stupid little chicken Kievs anywhere here in Texas? Do I got to join Sam's Club for it? Because honestly, I like it, but I don't like it that much. I'm not going to join the Sam's Club for it. Barney says, I have never had cherry jelly by that name. What do you mean I've never had cherry jelly by that name? Cherry jelly? You've never... Cherry jelly is the name. The name of it is cherry jelly. What do you mean you've never had cherry jelly by that name? Do people not know that cherry jelly is a thing? Oh my God, maybe that's a problem. Maybe I'm so exotic with my tastes. Frank says, I ate chicken Kiev growing up. I know, Frank, it's delicious. It's awesome. You cook it you put it on a cooking tray. You put it in the oven for like 40 minutes. You pull it out. It's just a chicken breast that's covered in like breading, and then you cut into it, and there's butter in there, and it comes out. It's delicious. Can't find it here in Texas. It doesn't exist. Jeff says, you know the difference between jelly and jam. I do, and I know that there is no difference. I know that it's just colloquialisms. It's the way people call these things. There is, however, a difference between jellies, jams, and preserves. That is a difference. It's a different process. Which kitty says butchers have it here at Safeway? What do you mean they have it here? It said, what do you mean butchers have chicken Kiev? I don't want to go. Yeah, I mean, I can go to a butcher shop and I can get legit chicken Kiev, which is 2 chicken breasts sewn together and then stuffed with stuff and then breaded. That's like a real meal you get at a fancy restaurant. I'm talking about the white trash chicken Kiev. They're like little frozen things. They come in little plastic bags. You open the bag, you put them in you cook it. I mean, I can get a real chicken Kiev if I want to spend $15 per thing, but I don't want to do that. Is it chicken Kiev or is it chicken Kiev? Remember we learned that Ukraine, people in Ukraine, they don't call it Kiev. That's a Western thing. They call it Kiev. So it's now chicken Kiev. Frank Smith, always coming to my aid. He says, I'll find you frozen chicken Kiev, Pugs. I don't want you buying it. I don't want you, find it. Tell me where it is. Find a store that has it, and then I'll go get it. Get a whole bunch of it. My kid would be very excited by that. They don't exist. Or look, I'm not even going to bust balls. If you don't have the chicken Kiev, maybe you can find me a nice chicken cordon bleu. Same thing. Chicken cordon bleu is just stuffed with ham and cheese. It's a chicken breast stuffed with ham and cheese. Chicken Kiev is a chicken breast stuffed with butter. Maybe something else. I don't know. Herbs. Good stuff. Look at me, 202. I made it. I just filled for the last 15 minutes. I pride myself on being able to do a stream of consciousness that lasts at least 2 hours. And I panicked when I ran out of show. We had 20 minutes left. And now talking about food and just hanging out with the chat room, we have crossed the finish line. We've made it. Everybody have a great weekend. My voice is gone. What's going on there? That's kind of weird. Hopefully we'll have some news on the future. On Monday or next week. At some point next week, we'll have some big breaking news that will affect everything and everybody and all that stuff. Other than that, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. We'll see you back here on Monday. By the way, like, follow, subscribe, all of that stuff. If anything big breaking news wise happens over the weekend, you can count on me to jump in. We'll cover it live. We'll sit here all together and we'll watch as the events unfold before our very eyes. We don't do that much. Wow, my voice is going. Can you hear it? That's how it's changing. My voice is going, gone. Don't even with me, Jeff Ballard. Jeff Ballard. Do you realize how easy it is to make chicken Kiev? Yeah, I do. You know, it's hard making good chicken Kiev. I have no doubt you can make it. Is it going to be good? That's where the questions arise.